G'day, I'm Matt. This is the Fiat 500e and this channel's called The Right Car. So will this be the right EV for you? There's plenty of reasons why it won't, but hey, I reckon you're still gonna love it. So stay tuned, watch along and tell me what you think in the comments section below. And if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Let's get to it. I'm no financial advisor, and I know that you will make up your mind if you think $52,500 plus on road costs for a car this small with only 300 Ks or so of EV driving range is going to be the right decision for you. But I can see why you might think that this is still going to be the right car for you, because you're not going to get anywhere near as much character for your coin if you're buying one of the, well, more affordable EVs out there that this car competes with. I'm going to tell you the best alternatives to it shortly, but it also comes pretty handsomely equipped as standard. Now this one is called La Prima 500e, that's the trim grade, so it's got everything that you can possibly really get in this model, including 17-inch alloy wheels, full LED lighting on the outside. You get an eco leather interior trim, so it's just PVC or plastic or vinyl, but it does look quite nice because it's got Fiat embroidered on the seat facings, and that adds something to the interior design. There's also a 10.25-inch touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both wireless and digital radio as well. You also get sat-nav, and you also get a 7-inch digital instrument cluster, push-button start, climate control, air conditioning, keyless entry, and so much wow factor. It's also got a standard glass roof, but with a very thin shade. So you tell me, is it worth that kind of money? Possibly the biggest issue with this car is the price. More than 50 grand means that it's playing against some really good alternatives in the small EV market. I'm going to tell you three right now that I think you should be checking out if you value practicality as well as budget friendliness and EV driving range. There are a few good options here. Firstly, the MG4. Now, I drove the entry-level version of that car a couple of months ago now, and I fell head over heels with it. I thought it was a really nice drive and really practical for the size of it too. So it could be a really good choice for you if you are shopping on a budget. It starts at under $40,000 before on-road costs, which is a whole lot cheaper than this car. But there are a bunch of different variants as well, so you can shop up a little bit if you want to and still get a really good one for less than this. Another option you might want to check out is the GWM Aura. Now, that car is along the styling lines of this. It's quite retro looking, quite interesting, and it's not as practical as the MG4 or, well, some of the other smaller EVs out there. But I reckon it does have plenty of technology, a really nice cabin, and also, while the boot is quite small, it's got a really big back seat. So, hey, if you are going to ferry people around a lot, it could be a good choice for you. Another option that's probably the most direct rival to this car is the Mini Cooper Electric. Now, it's tiny, it also only has 2 doors, well, 3 if you include the boot, and it's also got a fully electric range, which is less than some of the rivals I've already mentioned. So it might not be the ideal car for you, but it does stand out in the crowd. And hey, the version that's on sale right now is about to be replaced by an all-new one with more driving range, more technology, and a completely revamped look. So that might appeal to you more, or you could get one of the existing ones in run-out. So tell me which one you would pick in the comments section below. Yeah, it's about that big, I would say. 3.6 meters, in fact, and that makes it one of the smallest cars on the market, definitely the smallest EV that's on sale in Australia right now. It's tiny, it's only got 2 doors, or 3 if you include the boot, and look, somehow they've managed to package in a 42 kilowatt hour battery pack underneath the body of the car, but somehow it still looks cute and still looks kind of exactly like a Fiat 500 should look. Now, let's talk about boot space. Never one of the strong points of this car. And hey, Fiat Australia has been a little bit cheeky when it comes to quoting the boot figures. So if you look at the brochure for this car, you'll see that it says it's got 550 litres of cargo capacity. And it does. You just have to fold down the back seats if you want 550 litres of cargo capacity, because otherwise you've got far less, 185 litres. You can fit a pram in here, I'll show you, and look, it's mildly practical, I would say. If you've got one of those tiny little bugaboo prams or whatever they're called, then it will be a much more practical option for you if you have kids. Just keep in mind though, there is no spare wheel. You don't get a spare. It's a tyre repair kit. And under there is actually where you can put your charge cables, which is good. But also, this is one of the flimsiest little parcel trays I've ever seen. There are so many really nice features to this cabin. They've packed so much into such a tiny little space. And look, the attention to detail here and the novelty factor of this car is clear. From the Fiat embroidery on the seat facings, there's 500 up the top as well. This interesting material that runs over the dash top here as well. You've also got soft elbow pads as well. So from that perspective, there are some nice materials. The steering wheel has a really nice leather cover on it. It might not actually be leather, it's that convincingly leather. And this sunroof, yeah, glass roof with a very thin shade, so it's like a mesh shade. Sure, it's got UV protection, but it's still going to get hot in here without a proper cloth thicker cover. So that could be a little bit annoying if you live in one of the hotter cities in Australia, but hey, if you live in Tasmania, it could be a really nice car for you. So you've got this touchscreen media system. You do have controls on the back of the steering wheel to adjust things like your volume and tuning. So that might be something you'll get used to, but what is thankfully a little bit more sensible is the array of buttons down below for your fan control, your air conditioning control, your temperature as well. It's a two-way lever, which is surprisingly uncommon. And there's also below that another section of buttons with your transmission controls. So instead of a little shifter, you press the buttons. Now, I'm cool with that, but I don't love the material finish that's been used here. At least they are illuminated at night, but this piano black finish really shows up fingerprints badly. And, you know, it doesn't feel as nice as it could because you sort of always feel like you're sitting in a dirty car. At least I do, anyway. Above this section, there's a wireless phone charger with a beautiful silhouette of Turin, which is where this car is built and where it was born. And I love that there's also a few other cheeky little elements around the cabin to make you realize that you're in something that isn't just a regular EV. So you've got in the door pulls, a little made in Torino element with a beautiful little illustration of the car as well. And it just feels like it's kind of special, and I love that. What I also love is that this digital instrument cluster is very clear and very easy to get to terms with. It's also minimalist, and I like that because you don't have to think too much about anything. You've still got conventional stalks and that sort of stuff, so it's not like you're stepping into the future, but it's also not like you're stepping into a retro past model because, hey, it's got some cool features like these door buttons. They aren't actually pull handles on the doors, they're buttons that you press and it opens up. Now, thankfully, it is an Italian car, so it does have an emergency pull tab down low if you need it. You know, electrics in Italian cars, not the greatest reputation. But otherwise, this is pretty smart. Let's talk about the storage in the front. There's a cup holder down here somewhere and a cup holder here as well. Just that pulls up and stows away as well, and it does rattle a little bit, I've noticed. There's an armrest here with a covered center console bin. You can cover this bit up as well. You've got some USB ports in there if you want to hide a phone or something like that. Could be handy, 12 volt in there as well. And some of your controls are down here too. So you've got a volume knob down here, and there's also a drive mode selector down here too, and your electric park brake as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about the drive modes in the driving section. But first, I guess I'm going to have to get in the back and show you what it's like. So I'm going to get in behind the driver's seat, just for context, because my daughter's seat is in here. A child seat, I should say. And yeah, look, that's not set to my driving position. And look, I'll see if I can make it where it was, which was about No, it's not going to work. So, if I was in a pinch, I reckon I could sit in this driving position with me squished in behind. Now, squished is the operative term there because my knees are hard up against the seat in front. I've got lots of foot room though. Headroom's not great. I'd probably have to ride forwards like this. But yeah, this isn't supposed to be a family practical SUV. It's a tiny little car. Thankfully though, you do get ISOFIX points and there are top tether points for both seats as well. So my daughter's seat was in here and she loved it. She thought this was cool, this car. Although not literally cool because there are no air vents. Thankfully, it's a very small cabin, so the airflow is pretty good, but it's just something you might want to keep in mind. There's also not much in the way of practicality in the back. You get little armrests, no center armrest, no cup holders, nothing like that. So yeah, it's not super duper practical, but hey, it's practical enough for this size of car, I reckon. It's a pretty basic sort of setup here. It's got a single electric motor, front wheel drive and a single speed transmission. The power and torque figures aren't too bad. This is a pretty small car. So what surprises me is that Fiat hasn't spent what would be a few euros per car to fit an extra storage section under here, like a frunk as most brands call it. That would allow you space to maybe have storage for your charge cables, for instance. So let's talk about battery size. It's a 42 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack fitted to this car, which allows it a WLTP rated maximum driving range of 311 kilometers. At least the charging's fast. So you've got the choice of AC charging at a maximum rate of up to 11 kilowatts. That's the top plug there. And you also get a Mode 3 cable included with this car. Now, Fiat reckons that that should take, on 11 kilowatts, about 4.25 hours from 0 to full. So that's pretty good. There's also pretty fast DC charging, 85 kilowatt rate for the charging on DC if you find a fast charger when you're out on the road, and that means you should be able to get 0 to 80% in about 35 minutes. So it's not too bad, fairly practical for a little EV. Straight off the bat, this is not the quietest little electric car. Yeah, it's loud. It's actually quite loud in here. So you do get quite a bit of electric motor whir coming into the cabin, but also there's quite a lot of tyre noise, even on relatively good surfaces. It's quite a noisy little car in terms of tyre roar. So yeah, it feels a little bit cheap in terms of the refinement element, but also, I guess, for some people, that might add to the charm. Or am I looking through rose-tinted glasses? Now, let's talk about the little electric motor a little bit more. So, if you are looking for something that is zippy and feels perky and also still has enough get up and go to get away from the traffic lights easily, but also overtake on the freeway pretty easily, hey, this could be a good choice for you because, yeah, it's not a rocket ship, but it's quick enough. It's a speedy little thing. Now, everything that goes must also be able to stop. And look, it has got pretty good braking performance. It's pretty natural in the way that the brake pedal feels, but there's also a few different modes that you can choose from when it comes to the driving mode that really significantly change the way that it behaves in terms of slowing and stopping. So I'm in the normal driving mode right now, and basically if you take your foot off the accelerator, it's sort of like it's just constantly feeding just a little bit to the front wheels, or if you're going downhill, obviously it'll be doing a slight bit of energy recuperation. So I'll just put it into the range mode, and now if I take my foot off the accelerator, yeah, it's very, very quick to come to a stop, and it completely stops too. It even puts the hill hold on if you're facing slightly uphill. So it does have a really convincing single pedal driving mode. If that's how you want to drive your EV, then this could be a really good choice for you. Because look, I'll just do it again. Let's take off. So that was from 38 k's an hour down to a stop in the space of about, what was that, 20 meters? Yeah, it's not too bad. Obviously it'll stop faster if you plant your foot on the brakes, but for urban driving, if you do a lot of commuting in stop-start traffic, wow, this is gonna basically make energy for you. There's also a different drive mode called Sherpa, which cuts the air conditioning and also is designed to make it, well, as energy conservation focused as it can be. Yeah. So let's talk about the other driving characteristics of this car. So yes, it does have quite nice direct steering. It's a tiny little car. It's very easy to turn corners in this vehicle without really having to think about it. And for parking moves, yep, I'll just do one here just for the sake of it. Remember, left indicators on this car. Reverse. You can even one pedal drive it when you're parking. So it'll stop in reverse for you. That's pretty good. Hill hold on, we're on a slight downhill. So you should be able to park this car without even having to think about it, really. It is tiny. It's got front and rear parking sensors, got that reversing camera, which isn't too bad, but I mean, you don't need a reversing camera all that much in a car of this size. So yeah, that city-friendly, urban-friendly, dynamic element to this car is well taken care of. What might not be to everyone's tastes is the ride, because, you know, it's got a short wheelbase, and so what that means is, you know, there's not much distance between the front and rear wheels, so there's not much capability for the car to level itself out over bumpy bits. So yeah, it does suffer a little bit over the bumps, like so. Yep, but also I think that it's not going to be that big of a deal if you are used to driving on bumpy roads all the time, because I wouldn't say that it is bad at the way it deals with lumpy bumps. It's just that you notice them a little bit more. Great little turning circle in this car too. And yep, a little car like this should be zippy and fun, and this is a zippy, fun little car to drive. And look, I reckon for someone who doesn't want one of the more mainstream models and has the money to spend on something a little bit more fun, yeah, this is gonna tick the box. Let's talk about efficiency. So the WLTP official figure is on your screen now. The kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers is what you'll see. Just like petrol or diesel, the lower the number, the better. 14.4 is pretty low for a little electric car like this. And if you're wondering what I've seen across a mix of driving, you'll see that on your screen now. But keep in mind, I was primarily driving in range mode, so that is the best mode, in my opinion, to get the best out of the regen braking system. Try and top up your battery as much as you possibly can, but also still be able to use air conditioning, because it's been kind of hot. Not to typecast or anything, but if you are into a Fiat 500, you're probably into reading the stars and astrology and all that sort of stuff. 4-star ANCAP though. Not sure that that is a fantastic thing, but it does still come with a bunch of standard safety technology, including autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You've also got a lane keeping system with active lane keeping assistance. You can turn that off with 2 hits of the end of the stalk on the left, which thankfully is very easy to do. And there's also a blind spot monitoring system, rear cross traffic alert, and you've also got speed sign recognition with intelligent adaptive cruise control. So it can basically read the speed signs and adjust the speed for you if you want it to. Now, when it comes to airbags, there are 6, dual front, front side, and full length curtain airbag coverage for this little tiny car. Fiat doesn't have the best reputation for reliability in Australia, but hey, just keep in mind that now that it's electric, there's fewer mechanical components, so fewer things to potentially go wrong. And speaking of going wrong, there's only a 3-year 150,000k warranty for this car, which is well short of class standards of 5 years and unlimited kilometers. But you do get a longer battery warranty, 8 years, as you would expect. That's basically the industry norm now. But at least you get 3 years of free roadside assist included with this car, and the servicing is 12 months, 15,000 kilometer intervals at $250 per service for the first 8 years. Allora, I reckon that the Fiat 500e is a very compelling, compact, tiny, cute little EV, which will make sense for people who live in cities. Look, 300 kilometers of range for some people is going to be way too little. But for people who live in an urban area, who don't often go out on the highway for 3-hour-long drives, it could be a really great option for you. Look at the size of it. It's so easy to park, it's teeny weeny, reasonably quick to charge, and also, well, it looks fantastic. But tell me what you think in the comments section below. Would you choose a Fiat 500e? And if you wouldn't, what would you choose instead? I'd love to hear from you, and if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. See you in the next one.